What's going on, friends? This is Neil Adler with another episode of Syracuse Central on the Fan Arch Network. It is, hold on, Wednesday. Okay, I had to look at my bracelet. My bracelet told me this is my son's bracelet. People think it's stupid that I wear it, but I miss him. So anyway, it's Wednesday. Happy hump day. How's everyone's week going so far? Mine is pretty chill. No complaints. It's getting chilly here in the DMV. I do not like that. We turn the clocks back. I would much rather be lighter out later than getting an extra hour sleep because I get up early anyway, so it means nothing. I don't even mind cold. Shoot, I mean, I went to Syracuse for undergrad, but I just don't like when it's dark at 4:30 and it's like biting wind. I don't mind brisk because sometimes I get sick of 95-degree heat too, but I like brisk. I don't like super biting cold and like the wind and again, just dark and dreary. Anyway, I have no idea why I'm talking about that, but it's a good way to start out this episode. So we got Syracuse basketball on Wednesday night, men's basketball in an exhibition at home against Pace, but we're going to do some football and primarily football recruiting today because I love recruiting. Who doesn't love recruiting? Recruiting's fun. I mean, it's not always fun when you don't always win out for whoever it is you're trying to get, but it's just fun. It's fun to talk about. I love the transfer portal stuff too. Anyway, I just want to say, as always, I appreciate your support. If you're so inclined, hit the like button on this, or if you're really inclined, hit the subscribe button because we want to build this community, and I'm just here having fun and providing information. Sometimes I got some actual intel for you. Other times it's just me rambling on, and I'm doing these viewer comments now where I'm going to talk about you rambling on, but not really. You all don't ramble. You are very concise with your comments, and I appreciate all feedback, good or bad, about me. I like good feedback about Syracuse sports because that's my teams, but it is what it is. All right, so let's start with some recruiting stuff. So, Kevin Spell, not Cameron. Kevin Spell, who is a 5-star prospect by virtually every recruiting service. He's the number 1 running back in 2027. That means he's in his junior season. He is a top 10 national prospect. And initially he was expected or planning to. I always have to say like expected or planning to, I feel like, because with recruiting stuff, whether it's high school kids or transfer report, like stuff happens. You report on someone visiting and then the visit doesn't happen. Not because of what X, Y, or Z reason. Anyway, he was planning to visit Friday for the Halloween game against North Carolina. But his high school program in the Pittsburgh area, they have a playoff game on Friday, and that's super more important than coming to Syracuse. I mean, it's not for Syracuse fans, but yeah. So he plays at McKeesport Area Senior High School in McKeesport, PA, near Pittsburgh, and they are the top seed in the WPIAL Class 4A playoffs. I love all these acronyms. Like, since I cover a lot of recruiting stuff across lots of different states and in basketball and football, you know, sometimes you talk about recruits or verbal commits or commits, and they're playing in the high school playoffs, and it's whatever the acronym is for their league, whether, you know, public school, private school, prep schools, independent academy, like whatever. But anyway, this is the WPIAL, Western Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic League, Class 4A playoffs. McKeesport's the number 1 seed. They play on Friday night against number 8 seed Chartiers Valley High School in Bridgeville, PA. I have no idea where that is. Sorry. But good luck to McKeesport. Anyway, I was told by a source on Tuesday that Spell is now expected to visit on November 29th. That's the Boston College home game for Syracuse at the regular season finale. So we'll see if that sticks. We'll see if that holds. Hopefully it does. Interesting enough, I had written something about for Inside the Loud House about one of his teammates not too long ago was also expected to visit for that game. JVN Robinson, who's a 2027 4-star wide receiver, top 150 national prospect. He's expected to visit for that BC game. I've confirmed that with sources. Other media outlets have reported that. Anyway, look, Kevin Spell is an elite prospect in 2027. He visited Notre Dame recently. I've talked about how Notre Dame has analyst buzz on both 24/7 Sports and Rivals. Is he going to choose Notre Dame? Maybe. Is it a guarantee? No. He's in 2027, so his recruitment could have a little ways more to go. He was a Penn State verbal when James Franklin got the boot. Earlier this month, he reopened his recruitment. So anyway, you know, we'll see what happens. If I had to venture a guess, I would assume that he likely ends up choosing Notre Dame based on multiple analyst predictions for their Fighting Irish. But you never know how these visits go, and he's got all kinds of offers: Ole Miss, Nebraska, Florida State, Georgia, Michigan, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Oregon, Pitt, obviously, Penn State, Tennessee. I wonder if any of these Penn State guys that decommit, if they'll maybe go back to Penn State, depending on who they get as the head coach. That'll be interesting. But anyway, Spell, if he chose Syracuse ultimately, that'd be a game changer in that class. 2027, Syracuse is already off to a great start. I've talked about on Syracuse Central. They're up to 8 guys, number 3 nationally per the 24/7 Sports Composite. They got 2 offensive linemen last week, 3-star Connor Long from New Jersey and Marcus Small from Florida. So, just passing along the news. We'll see what happens here. We'll see what happens. It's still good that they're assumably Syracuse is getting him on campus for a visit. Keep in mind, Syracuse only has 4 games left, 2 of them on the road, 2 of them at home. So if they're trying to get guys on the hill for game day visits, it's either this Friday for Halloween, the Halloween game against North Carolina, or the BC game, because otherwise they go to Miami and then Notre Dame and they have a bye week. So we'll see. We'll see. All right, next up, I've mentioned this dude before. I feel like CJ Hester, he's a 2026 4-star defensive back. I think he's a top 300 national prospect or top 400 national prospect, according to some recruiting services. He's a good player. Plays at Cocoa High School in Cocoa, Florida, which I'm pretty sure won a state title last year. He officially visited Syracuse and had Syracuse among his finalists, but Florida always had the analyst buzz almost always for him. And he verbally committed to Florida over the summer. His final 6, let me get the notes: Syracuse, Auburn, Florida, Georgia, Iowa, Miami. I'll tell you, when I was writing about him over the summer, it still always seemed like, and I don't have insider intel here, but I'm just based on analysts and whatever. It seemed like Florida always kind of held the lead, but up in getting close to the end before he announced, I feel like in early July. He took an official to Syracuse. He took officials to other places. And there was some kind of chatter that hey, it looks like Syracuse and Iowa could be right behind Florida. Not on the same level in terms of leader or whatever, but right. So the reason I bring Hester up, I haven't been able to confirm on my own through my own peoples that Syracuse is showing an interest in him, but Rivals had something, I think it was on Tuesday. It was this week. I think it published on Tuesday. Let me get my notes here. Where are my notes? Here we go. So again, I don't have this independently, but Rivals, Rivals is Rivals. They're one of the national outlets. So Florida fired their head coach, Billy Napier. He's one of 8 million head coaches that's already been fired this year. Obviously, that's a joke. But Hester, I don't think, has made a decision one way or another. But Rivals said that, and I quote, Iowa, Iowa State, Missouri, Syracuse, Vanderbilt, and Wisconsin are all interested in adding the talented cornerback, but no visits have been scheduled yet. The visits will tell the story here as to where Hester is leaning. So again, I'm just putting it out there that Syracuse might be showing an interest in Hester. He's officially visited. I feel like he's unofficially visited for, I don't know if it was for spring practices in the past or other game day visits. I'm pretty sure I've written about. And he's a talented DB. So we'll see. If Syracuse gets a visit, that's obviously an encouraging sign. But if he visits other schools and doesn't visit Syracuse, then clearly it's not jiving there. And that's okay too. I mean, I wish him well one way or the other. It's all good. But something to monitor. And so Syracuse's 2026 class, did I mention that Hester is a 2026? I probably should have done that. And as we all know, I've talked about a million times on Syracuse Central, the Orange staff is really recruiting the state of Florida hard in 2026, 2027, 2028, blah, blah, blah. You got Calvin Russell and other guys in 2026. Syracuse's 2026 class, after getting Alexander Haskell to flip from Penn State to Syracuse last week, he gave them 29 verbal pledges. I should remember this stuff, but it does change. 29 verbal pledges. It's ranked 26 nationally. So their 2026 class, assuming they hold on to Russell and those other guys, which I think they will, it's looking like a top 25, top 30 class. And if they flip a couple of dudes, like a Hester or someone, or Tadarius Hughes. I don't know. Got to keep in mind what's going on at Florida State. They stink right now. Is Mike Norvell going to get the boot at the end of the year? So it should be a crazy offseason in terms of the coaching carousel and, will Fran Brown be linked to any of those jobs? Obviously, Syracuse isn't having a great season, but I think nationally people respect what he's building. They know that Steve Angeli got hurt. That was a big thing. They know that the roster is young and the schedule is really tough. So it should be a fun offseason in terms of coaching carousel and recruitment at the prep level, and then the transfer portal opens in early January for I think it's 12 days or 14 days, something like that. I think it's 15 days. Used to be 30, I think, something like that. I don't know. It'll be a lot of fun. We'll see what Hester does. I'm not suggesting, because I don't have specific information on my own, that Syracuse is going after him hard, but it wouldn't surprise me because he officially visited, had Syracuse among his top schools. He said great things about the program. Obviously, Fran Brown, Tommy Caparelli, the GM, they're recruiting Florida hard and faring well. It's not like they're just throwing out offers to Florida-based recruits. They're winning for some of them. So we'll see. All right. Speaking of Florida, let's keep the Florida flow. So Syracuse got their first 2028 commit, verbal commit, obviously. These are sophomores in high school. It's crazy. They got their first 2028 commit in recent days. I think it was last week, or it was in recent days, whatever. And it was offensive tackle Amari Lawson, and he goes to the Zarephath Academy in Jacksonville, Florida. Sorry if I butchered that. So that was their first verbal, and from Florida, as noting. And then, so a guy to keep an eye on. Let me just get my notes here. Where are my notes on him? I lost him. Hold on one second. Here he is. Yeah, Aiden Johnson. Sorry, I had way too many notes here. So Aiden Johnson, he is a 5-star multi-positional athlete in the 2028 class. In fact, at least one recruiting service, I think it's 24/7 Sports, has him as the number 1 athlete overall in the country in 2028. 247 Sports, 24/7 Sports Composite, the composite system, has him 5 stars, 41 nationally, 2 at athlete, 10 in Florida. And that's 10 in Florida. I mean, Florida is so talent rich. Anyway, there was something, there'd been a couple reports not too long ago that some of the teams standing out for him include Syracuse, Miami, Nebraska. I want to give credit here to my man Charles Kang at the Juice Online. Did he do that? He definitely did. And then that was like last month. But then I'm bringing it up today because then yesterday on Tuesday, On3, I think it was Rivals or On3. They're the same company. I guess it was Rivals because this is prep recruiting. But yeah, they talked about it, and Aiden reiterated that reaching out the most to him are Miami, Nebraska, and Syracuse. Miami obviously makes sense. He's from Florida. Nebraska, okay, sure. And then Syracuse. And then Orange's defensive end / edge coach, Nick Williams, is trying to get Aiden up for a visit. I'll see if that happens. I'll check in with some people about that. But it's just, this dude is 5 stars. He's the number 1 athlete, according to at least one recruiting service. They're going off. And so he played at, let me get the notes. He played at West Broward High School in Pembroke Pines, Florida. But according to one article I read, it looks like he transferred mid-season or sometime during this 2025 season to MacArthur High School in Hollywood, Florida. And obviously, again, Syracuse is recruiting Florida crazy hard right now. And it looks like he, as a freshman, at least last year at West Broward, he played defensive end, linebacker, safety, caught some passes. There was a receiver, had a few rushes. So he's an athlete. That's all I'm going to say. And I'm not suggesting, it's so early. But again, if Syracuse, even if they don't get him up for a visit this year, you could go to a camp. You could go up for spring practice next year. It's not like if he doesn't visit for one of these 2 last games, it's like the end of his recruitment. And Miami will be tough to beat, and I'm sure there'll be others that come in. He's a 5-star. And Syracuse offered him in July of this year. So, kind of cool. I like it that Syracuse is going after guys of this caliber, and they're not winning out for all of them, and they're not on Alabama's level and Oregon's and Ohio State's and, who else am I thinking? All the Georgia and all the really Notre Dame, but they're trending up. They're trending up. They're trending up. All right, so I want to talk about my loyal viewers because I'm really enjoying all the back and forth, and I appreciate people taking time out of their day to listen to me ramble about. Well, it's not about nonsense, but I do ramble, so you can feel free to tell me I ramble, or make fun of me or whatever. My bracelet, my cup, whatever. I didn't shave today. Anything you want. But I want to talk about some comments here from. So it wouldn't have been from Tuesdays because I did basketball on Tuesday, but it was from Monday. But it was obviously the last show with football. So my man, I shouldn't say my man because you never know, but I'm pretty sure he talked about his wife was saying something to him, so I assume he's a guy. Peace, love 5873. He listens a lot and he's super, super cool. And his comments here talks about the O-line being atrocious. They didn't give Ricky a lot of time to throw. Not a lot of open running lanes. I'm paraphrasing a little bit because it's kind of long here. He said Ricky looked better in the second half, better blocking. If we get that kind of QB play going forward, I could see us coming up with wins against UNC and BC as long as the D shows up. There's no way we're beating Notre Dame or Miami, though. It sucks because if Angeli hadn't gone down, we're definitely getting to a bowl game this season. Something to keep in mind, Vegas had us 5.5 over and under wins. A lot of things working against us. Lost a lot of seniors, young roster, hardest schedule. Dude, I agree with everything you're saying. And that's why, I'm not and I'm not sure if I'm allowed to curse on YouTube, but that's why I'm not shitting bricks about this season. I mean, I don't even care if they went 4-8, in part because Angeli went down, but it's if Collins was playing well, the offensive line was better, the defense wasn't so inconsistent, the running game was if they were just losing to better teams, and again, part of that could be the quarterback. Sure, it's the most important position in sports. But that'd be fine. It's just they're getting blown out in recent games, and it's just a bummer. But yeah, losing all those veteran guys. I mean, do I have to list them all here? But OG and Kyle McCord, obviously. But Angeli, but I mean Elijah Clark and Clarence Lewis and LaQuinn Allen and other dudes. I don't need to list them all here. They lost a bunch of guys to the pros. They didn't have as big of a transfer class coming in this season as they did the year before, and they had more prep recruits at the high school level, so it's a younger roster. And look at that freaking schedule. So yeah, my man, Peace Love 5873. If they could just get their shit together and win against BC and North Carolina, and then just fine, you lose to those other two teams at Notre Dame and at Miami, whatever. But play better and don't get blown out. And then fine, you're 5-7, shit happens. All right? I'm gonna leave it at that. Cursing too much. It's my mom's fault. She's a feisty Jewish woman from Brooklyn. She curses a lot, so it's all her fault. Samuel Payne, 6491 wrote, "Speed is needed on both sides. Always outrun on encounters. Depth is totally missing on both sides. Must recruit speed." To which Peace Love 5873 replied, "They are. That's why they're focused so much on recruiting Florida. They know what they're doing. It takes a couple off seasons to completely remake a roster that was left thin by a lot of bad years." I'm paraphrasing under Dina Babers. No disrespect to him as a person. And they're both right. Samuel Payne's right and Peace Love's right. They definitely need to recruit speed, and they are. They are on both sides. Certainly wide receiver. They're going off crazy, talented dudes, and it's certainly in the secondary as well. Safeties, defensive backs. We just talked about CJ Hester. He's not committed, but they've got some dudes. They've got some 4 stars. Cameron Wilson, Jarius Rogers, Javion Cooper. So they got 2 edge rushers that are 4 stars, an offensive tackle that's a 4-star. They got Calvin Russell. He's a 5-star. Sorry, I'm just fixing my chair. Amari Goff is a 4-star from Richmond. They're on their way. They're on their way. So good points by both. And so this is impossible to read. Tim 48-IO9CJ. There's got to be a story behind that, Tim. Tell me what the story is by your handle. It makes you wonder, this is a quote, "It makes you wonder if Ricky had a tire hanging in his backyard to throw at as a kid. His accuracy is atrocious." it's tough. It's like, Tim, I totally like agree with you. Like let me look at the notes. 54.5% he's completing, 6 touchdowns, 8 picks. Last game, 17 to 29, a touchdown, no picks for like 200 and some yards. Yeah, he's not great. It's like I'm rooting for him so much because he's getting shitted on so bad. But like fairly so, as long as people are just like, you can say his accuracy is atrocious. When I see people like on the Inside the Loud House site that I run and they're like, the kid's garbage, the kid's trash, just like saying things that are just mean and it's just like over the top. Like, yeah, he stinks right now. Just say that. Keyboard warriors. Anyway, Tim, I agree with you. His accuracy, and it's frustrating because like the dude does have an arm. Like he can launch it. And there are certainly times within the last couple games where it's a series here and there or whatever where he makes a couple good throws, but it's just not consistent. And then he makes bad decisions and he fumbles or he throws a pick or whatever. And then, yeah, so it is what it is. And then Michael Antonio, who I'm pretty sure I know from either Inside the Loud House or other like Syracuse sports Facebook pages because I recognize his like logo or GIF or whatever it is. And we've had some fun back and forth. Good dude. But he wrote, you should really scrub that bowl thought right out of your head. They're cooked. Yeah, I mean, if any of y'all know me from Inside the Loud House or just following this show just here and there over the last 2 months since we started, like, yeah, I'm generally a positive person because I love my alma mater. I want them to succeed. Do I have on orange colored glasses sometimes? Probably. Am I afraid to call out teams when they stink? No, I'm not afraid. I don't need to be like cruel about it. I can be like, say what I need to say and then just kind of get out. I don't need to like, whatever. But Michael Antonio, yeah, I don't, they're not going to get, I mean, I feel like in years past, didn't some teams get into bowls at 5-7 if like there wasn't enough 6-6 teams, that have won 6, FBS game or like whatever the requirements are. And again, I'm not suggesting even at 5-7 Syracuse is going to get in and like whatever. But yeah, they're not going to beat Notre Dame. They're not going to beat Miami unless there's like some bad injuries. And I don't wish that at all on either Miami or Notre Dame. I just want them to beat UNC. I want them to crush UNC. I want them to beat Boston College. There could be a bunch of recruits on campus for the regular season finale against the Eagles. And then just play solid against Notre Dame and Miami. Have everyone play better. Better run game. Ricky Collins be better, the defense be better, everything be better. And if you lose by 10 points or 2 touchdowns or 3 points, just something competitive. Because they're not really, and I love my team, but they're not really like super competitive right now. So we'll see. But great comments. I love doing this kind of stuff. Keep putting more comments in about the team or me or the show or life. I don't care. We can talk about anything you want. You want to talk about 80s pop music? Duran Duran's my favorite band, and so is my 9-year-old son. You want to talk about old school hip hop? You want to talk about Taylor Swift? I don't care. We can talk about anything you want. I'm more into like old school like rock and freaking Elvis Presley and all kinds of stuff like that and like old school hip hop. But we can talk about anything you want. We talk about life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. But mainly we'll talk about Syracuse sports. But this has been fun. I appreciate you providing comments. Constructive always wins. And have a great rest of your Wednesday, friends. This is Neil Adler with Syracuse Central on the Fan Arch Network. Enjoy Hump Day. I'll talk to you again on Thursday.